flight of Jet Airways almost killed 142 passengers and 8 crew. It was going to be one of the worst crashes in India, but thankfully didn't happen. Jet Airways Flight 555 was on its routine flight from Doha, Qatar to Cochin International. The flight took off on time at 22:55 or 10:55 p.m. and was scheduled to land at 5:35. The plane got into a 15-minute delay due to weather and traffic, but soon arrived with an unthinkable surprise. Jet Airways codenamed 9W555 was on its normal flight from Hamad International Airport in Doha to Cochin International in Kochi. The flight was normal during takeoff and cruise. The passengers were calm and relaxed after a sleep, because it took off nighttime. Later, after the pilots saw terrible clouds and storms everywhere, they got in their minds that it was going to be a hard one to land. Later, the air traffic controller granted the plane to an ILS approach, meaning that they were allowed to lower till 200 feet above the ground. When they were below, they could see the ground, but not the lighting of the airport due to recent rain in the area with dense fog surrounding it. The weather report indicated that the visibility was 3,500 meters and clouds at 1,500 feet. This was the weather report given to the flight crew, but continued to do a go-around, and then circled with the guidance of the Kochi ATC for another landing, thinking that it may be better. But it turns out that it was the opposite. In reality, it was getting worse minute by minute, and the crew did not strike it. Both the captain and the first officer were discussing which airport they landed at, and they got an answer. Bangalore, Kepegowda Airport, much clearer weather than Cochin and has long runways. After the go-around, they have 4700 kg, which was more than enough for a normal divert to Bangalore. The captain stated that Bangalore was too far away and may be hard for passengers, and said that we could divert to Trivandrum, much closer and easier for passengers, but little weather change. Well, since they had no idea that the weather was going to get worse, they continued their second approach. During their approach, once Air India flight initiated an around and diverted to another airport, and later started their final approach. Again, the pilots did not succeed and went for another go-around. This time, they had now, instead of 4700 kilo, they now have 3900 kilo. The captain said that now they would to another approach, and if not succeed, they would head for Trivandrum. They went for another approach and later missed. Now, after almost an hour of delay, the passengers are now having the news of a diverted flight to Trivandrum. They are now heading for an approach in Trivandrum, and now the fuel on board is running out fast at 2900 kilos. Now they can't go anywhere. They can only land at Trivandrum Airport. Later, they are now in touch with the Trivandrum ATC and granted a VOR approach, which is a big issue, because an ILS gives precise runway markings and much better accuracy for a perfect landing. They could not do an ILS due to a technical issue in Trivandrum. Ruways. Now, pilots have to see the visual of the runway, or go around. Well, as you may have guessed, they initiated a go-around, and later circled back with ATC guidance following the procedure given by the airline. Now they have only 24 kilos after the fourth go-around. Now the fuel is getting scary. Once they run out, they would be helpless and glide like an eagle, but with no visual. Later, they started another go-around, passengers terrified, and the people in Kochi getting the news that the flight had been diverted. 24 kilos is not just a normal number. Only half an hour of flight time left before they glide. Pilots had to think fast, but it was too late. They cannot go to any airport except Trivandrum, and called the ATC for a mayday, and alerted all police, ambulance, firefighters, and investigators as per the procedure. Now second approached Trivandrum and tried to land, but again no hope. The flight had to do a go-around because they were too high. Now, the flight is left with 898 kilograms with only a few minutes of fuel. Again, the captain realized they were too high, and did another go-around with 600, and now they were so low in fuel that the plane had to go with a 45-degree and started their approach on runway 34. The captain crash landed and soon stopped at the last minute with only 450 kilograms of fuel left.